everybody. So we're going to go over all problems from your review assignment on your test for linear equations. So make sure you're paying close attention. Well, you can probably look at this answer and kind of know what it's going to be. Basically, if there's 50 pills and the price was $1.25, it certainly can't be this one or that one. So it's either going to be 1 cent or 3 cents, and that's actually the most logical. But just to prove it to you, the change in y, how the y values are going up each time, is $1.25. The change in x, how the x values are going up every time, would be 50. So if you divide your change in y by your change in x, that will give you the price per pill, which would be 0.025. So they just rounded that up to be 0.03 or 3 cents. So you would select B for that one. Okay? Now the second one. Guys, you can't write the equation of the line in standard form immediately. What you need to do if the question asks for standard form and they give you information on the line is put it in slope-intercept form first and then convert it to standard form. So that's what we're going to do. Now, for some of you at this step, you might use point slope, and that's fine. So they give me the slope, which is 3/4, and it passes through -3, -1. So these go in for my x and y. So -1 equals 3/4 times -3 plus b. Okay, we multiply these two, and I'm going quick here because of review, but you get -9/4. So to solve for b, we would add 9/4 to both sides. And now what's like -1 plus 9/4, I'll do that right here. You have to get common denominators. So again, I'm going quick because it's a review. This would be -4/4. So the final answer for that would be 5/4. So your final equation slope-intercept form would be y equals your slope 3/4 x plus 5/4. So that's actually one of your answer choices, right? It's B. But that's not the answer, right? Because it asks for standard form. Remember with standard form, x and y are on the same side. Okay, so you want to know that for this quiz, there'll be like 2 questions like this. So what you need to do is first subtract 3/4 x. You can probably already see the answer. But they do one a step that we didn't talk about. And all they do, but we've talked about this in other sections this year, is they get rid of the fractions. So they times everything by 4. And what that does, because both these fractions have 4 in the denominators, if I times everything by 4, that will become -3x. That will become +4y, because the 4 is canceled for this one. And then same thing here, 4 times 5/4. The 4's would cancel diagonally. It's just going to be equal to 5. Okay? And now all they did here was they multiplied it by -1. So it's actually D. So if you multiply this by -1, so we could actually multiply everything by -4 and then got the same answer that they have. And there you go. Okay? So it's actually D. So if they ask for standard form, you could automatically have gotten rid of these 2 choices right away because actually C is point slope and B is slope intercept. So it's either A or D. But that's how you would convert to standard form. So guys, again, I can't stress enough because we didn't do problems exactly like this. We did all this stuff, but not exactly like this. This is where you're using your critical thinking skills. If the question asks for slope intercept form, convert it to standard form. Okay? That was a hard question. Should be able to move a little bit faster. What is the slope of the line above? Well, the line's going down. It has to be negative, right? Okay, it has to be. So we just got to match it up here. We get my graphing tool. So there's where the y-intercept, we don't need that for this problem. There's another point. So it's down 3/2. So it's -3/2. So -3/2 is your slope. Okay? That's your change in y. Remember, change in y always goes up and down. Change in x, so your slope is -3/2. That should have been an easy one for you. Moving on. Oh, this is a joke. This shouldn't even be a question. Where does the line cross the y-axis? That's your b value. Bam. But please just remember, though, I guess it's not that easy. Make sure that your y-intercept, it always takes the ordered pair coordinates 0, the b value. Okay, so it'd be 0, 5. If you think about that, to graph that point, you would go up 5. So remember, that's your y-intercept. It's always the point where it crosses the y-axis. Number 5. Okay, what is the equation of a line that passes through these points? The first thing you have to find is the slope. Now, again, because this is the review, I'm going to save a little bit of time by using that y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm not going to label the points for sake of time to bore you, but you should label these x1, y1, x2, y2. So it'd be 6 minus 0 over negative 14 minus 7. So I get 6 over negative 21. If you reduce that, 3 goes into both of these, so it's going to be negative 2 over 7. So right away, we could get rid of these two choices. Just a matter of whether it's going to be B or D. And this is actually the easiest point to plug in because it has 0 as a y coordinate, so it's making our math easier. So I like to use slope-intercept. At this point, you might use, at this step, I should say, and is a better word, you might want to use point-slope form. So 0 is my y value, equals negative 2/7, sorry, it's 2, times 7 plus b. These cancel, so I'd have negative 2 for b. But then if you add 2 to both sides, b is going to be positive 2. So that means it has to be answer choice b, because your final equation would be taking the slope and the b value, y equals negative 2, sorry, it's over here, y equals negative 2/7 x plus 2. Oh, this is a really, really easy one. Y equals mx plus b. You could use point slope and all that and then slope intercept to plug this in, but 0 comma something is always the y-intercept. So you could actually cheat here. Y equals 2x minus 10. I'm sure it'll be one like that on your test. The y-intercept always has the coordinates 0 comma something. Okay? So that was actually your b value. But if you did all the work where you plug it in, you get the same answer. Equation for a line is just like that last problem. I don't want to waste too much time on this. It's just like number 5. Okay, it's the same type of problem. Okay, so because it's just like number 5, I'm going to skip it. Okay, but just to give you like a little bit of a hint in getting started, when you did your slope information for this one, you should have got 21 over 9, and that reduces to 7 over 3. Okay, that's a little bit of a hint for you. All right, I guess we'll finish it. Why not? There's the slope. So we have, I'm going to use this point right here. So y equals mx plus b. But I'll try to skip other problems that are very similar. So negative 2, right, y, equals 7 over 3 times negative 3 plus b. These cancel, so I get negative 1 there. So negative 2 equals negative 7 plus b. And if you add 7 to both sides, you get positive 5 for b. So it has to be this one, D. Okay? Slope of the line below. Get y by itself. If they give you an equation and ask for the slope, get y by itself. Subtract 3x. Bam. We have 3y. And I'm just going to switch the order of the 15 and 3x, but it doesn't matter though. That's more like mx plus b. Divide by 3. Remember, you divide both these numbers by 3. Negative 1x plus 5, or negative x. So there's the slope, negative 1, b. Get y by itself if the question asks for the slope. Same thing, except you're not going to use the m, you're going to use the b here. So get y alone to figure out the y-intercept, or you can even use standard form here. So there's two ways you can do it. You can convert it to, you can do it right now, because any y-intercept has an x-coordinate of 0, so I can plug a 0 in right there, it goes away. So y equals 6, so therefore a 0 comma 6 is the b value. But if you wanted to, you could have got y by itself, just like the last problem, except instead of the number in front of x, it would actually be the other number. That would be your b. So you could have 6y if we subtract 3x, right? 36 is right there. Then we divide by 6, and it'd be y equals negative 1/2 x plus 6. Still got 6 as the b value. How cool is that? Two different ways of doing it. Awesome. This is going to be one video, so pay attention, okay? All right. Plug them into point slope or slope intercept, okay? So we have, excuse me, so xy, right? Y equals mx plus b. And you see a theme here. 4 goes in for y, negative 6 goes in for x. Solve for b. Multiply here, you get negative 6. And to add that 6 to both sides, b is going to be 10. And there's your slope, so negative 6x plus 10. Number 11. This is a good problem, okay? Altitude of a plane above sea level in feet m minutes after departure is given by this expression. So you can see that there's your slope, right? Because it's multiplied to the variable, okay? So which statement is correct? Well, since it's plus 450, it has to be increasing, right? Okay, and m is minutes, so there you go. Easy stuff. Don't make it too hard. There are some questions that are a little involved. Some questions are easy. That's an easy one. That should be A. Okay, we went over that before, so I'm going to skip it because it's y-intercept. That should be. Okay, linear. Linear has to be a straight line. Okay, so it has to be, the x and y values have to be increasing by the same rate. So therefore, it can't be volume because volume is actually involves something to the third power. So it can't be volume. That's not, see how it says volume of a box? Well, the volume of a box, you take the side and raise it to the third power. And then 3% typically are not linear. Okay. So we have to look at these last two here. A radioactive substance loses half of its mass every 12 years. Okay, well, you could just make up a mass, right? So like after 0 years, make it 100, right? And then after 12 years, it would be 50. After 24 years, it would be 25, right? After 36 years, it would be 12.5. If you notice, that's not a linear relationship because the change in x is the same, but not the change in y. These are different. Okay, there is no change in y. It's different every time. So it has to be D, and that makes sense. Susie is losing 5 pounds every month. So it's the same amount of pounds she's losing every month. That's a linear relationship. Getting there, guys. Okay. Pay close attention to these problems, okay? People had trouble with these. I'm zoomed in. This is a line of best fit. This was your last question on Wednesday's assignment. So basically, guys, a line of best fit is a line you make through data that most accurately reflects it. Okay, so you're basically using your line to predict behavior. So they made the best fit line for you in red here. Okay, so they're asking for you the equation of it. Well, what I suggest you do is extend your line. Okay, that was actually pretty straight for not having a straight line tool. So it looks like that's probably going to be about 85, right? Because this would be, actually, if we look though, and you have to look carefully, this is the biggest issue. You have to look how your x and y axes are labeled. Well, 2 spaces is 15, so that means each one is 7.5. The same thing is true right here. Each unit is 7.5. Now, they're not always the same, so you have to look carefully. So actually, that would be 82.5, right? And then if we add 7.5 to that, it'd be 90. So the y-intercept is probably around 90.